Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let me get this beautiful woman's face off my face, and we'll get her back later. Good morning. It's Saturday. Dreama, you're watching right now. This is how it's supposed to be when you wake up in the morning and says, yes, I shall conquer the day. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm doing that to wake Dreama up because she popped in right on time, but she's just kind of like, brain, first thing in the morning, that's all well and fine. But once you see this young lady, man, look how beautiful she can get first thing in the morning. Now, I can wake up and be all energetic first thing in the morning, Dreama, but my looks is totally different. I didn't even comb my hair or put on my mascara or anything like that, but nonetheless, that I'm here. Welcome, Saturday morning cartoons. When we were children, we could not live without our cereal, first off, and then getting on our bellies and in front of the TV and watching Saturday morning cartoons. But we did it nonetheless. And because of that, in our advanced years, especially Jerome, we definitely remember what we missed when we were growing up. And that was Saturday morning cartoons. But how you doing, Rose? How you doing, Jerome?
Good morning.
Hey, great. Good morning.
This is going to be a great show. Even if there's no audio, we can just look at this woman forever. We don't need to hear a thing. Okay. And I don't know, Dreama and I might be the same age, but if we're not, I've always been into cougars. So I'm just telling you right now that this woman is not just beautiful, but she is, and good morning dreams, close enough. You got the A there. Gary, good morning, guys. This woman is fantastic. Now, the lovely lady that we're about to bring up in about 10 seconds, okay, her name is Dreama Denver. And I hate to want to advertise, I hate saying or anyone saying this is the wife of, or this is the former wife of, or this is so-and-so. No, Dreama Denver is an accomplished individual on her own right. She just happened to have married another actor who we all know and love as Bob Denver. Bob Denver, who, of course, was Gilligan on Gilligan's Island. And the reason I am speaking about Bob Denver, because this is, in fact, a show about Gilligan, about animated cartoon Gilligan of Bob Denver. And I just want to say that, Dreama agreed to co-host a show featuring her husband, because I'm assuming, I don't know what happens when you die. You're still married to the person? How's that work? How's that work, Rose? Right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, I lost my husband. I lost my wife. Yeah, I guess you're still married to the person. Let's say hello to this gorgeous hunk of a woman here. Dreama!
Wow, you make getting up early a really nice thing. Thank you for all those compliments.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, it's honored. I mean, we're honored to have you here. We had you on a past show. Was that Classic Television SmackDown that we did, guys?
Yes, that was a tribute to Don Wells.
It was a tribute to Don Wells, and we had Dreama on for this tribute of Don Wells, and she talked a lot about Don and about, of course, the book that she was promoting. Which is still out for availability. And if you guys, before we go ahead and get into our show, Dreama had written this book called Gilligan's Dreams. I have yet to read it. It's a time.
I have an 8-year-old. I don't get to read books, except for
there are some amazing reviews on this book that I've read. So yeah, I still have to get around to reading it, but the reviews have been phenomenal.
Yeah, and not just that, she does children's books as well.
Now I got to go read children's books. Okay, I can do that.
I this is going to sound bad, but I think I'm more interested in this book than reading about Bob. I think this is more my speed because it has pictures. Do you have pictures in your Denver book, Dreama?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there we go. Now Mark can read it. Okay.
So, not a problem. We have pictures there. But Dreama, you are our guest host, which means we hope you can tell us a lot more than we three speaking heads do all the time about Bob, but specifically his animated shows, and one was actually is a Saturday morning live action show that we're going to delve into.
I love that one. I love that one.
It's Emmy material, you knucklehead. What are you laughing for? What are you talking about?
Because it was
I grew up loving that show.
I love that show. It was great.
You haven't concentrated on the performances. Okay, that's your problem. Okay, you don't understand that this was quality work that Bob was thrown into. Now, notice I said quality work that Bob was thrown into. He's already a quality actor. Is what he had to. Well, let's just jump ahead on that right now. Dreama.
Yes.
Far Out Space.
Nuts.
What was Bob's drawn? Why did he do it?
Well, you know, he had done everything else. He did with his very first series, The Many Loves of Debbie Gillis. He did word comedy, which he loved, written by Max Schulman, prolific writer, highly respected. Then after that, he chose to do Gilligan's Island because he wanted to do physical comedy. And he was excellent at that. I think we can all agree. And then he did a couple of more series. He did, I don't know if you guys remember The Good Guys and Dusty's Trail, which was Gilligan's Island in the West. But he had done 4 primetime network series, and Bob loved kids. He just loved kids, and he wanted to do something for kids. So he chose to do Far Out Space Nuts. And the thing about that show that just blew him away was the fact that I think, if I'm not mistaken, there were 16 episodes in the early 70s, and with guest stars like John Carradine, which just boggled Bob's mind, the people who would actually guest star on the show. And he just loved doing it. It was a Saturday morning show. And if you grew up at that time, I've had so many people come up to me, of course, when Bob was alive, up to him too, saying how much they loved that show. So it's kind of the longevity of it and the popularity of it was surprising to him because it wasn't really on, it wasn't on for years and years and years. So, but that's why he did it. He really wanted to do something for kids. Bob had a real connection with kids. They loved him. He loved them. And he wanted to do something for them. So there we are.
You're muted. You're muted.
You're muted, Mark.
Okay. I was actually faking.
Oh, there he goes. Okay.
I was going to come back on and start doing this and see what you still say. But anyway, I liked it. I enjoyed it. Anything that was coming on for Saturday morning for us back then. And we watched and we enjoyed. And I thought it was hilarious. Thank you, Mike, on that comment there. I appreciate it. I'm jumping ahead. I actually am skipping the gun here. And since we got into Far Nuts, I'm going to go ahead and gear up. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and gear up.
I was a big fan of the Dobie Gillis series.
Yes.
You know? And the funny thing was, for me, I discovered Dobie just as I started hitting high school. So it kind of resonated for me, you know?
Oh, Dobie Gillis. That's my favorite. I love that show. It was ahead of its time, you know?
Yeah.
It was very cutting edge. Now, I found it on Amazon Prime, I think it was, a few months back. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And sat down to watch it, remembering all the stories Bob told me about what happened behind the scenes.
Before, since we're jumping all over the place here, and that's absolutely fine and not a problem on that, let me go ahead and read a little bit about Bob Denver before we go forward, because this is a show about him. Robert Osborne Denver, who passed in 2005, September 2nd, I do believe, 2005. He was an American comedic actor who portrayed Gilligan on the 1964 to 1967 television series Gilligan's Island, and Beatnik Maynard G. Krebs on the 59 to 63 series The Many Lives of Dobie Gillis. Denver made his television debut in 57, but in 58, Denver was permitted to audition for a role in the sitcom The Many Lives of Dobie Gillis as a favor to his sister, who was a secretary on the production line. He got the role and left teaching the following year to become a regular on the series. From 59 to 63, he appeared on the series as Maynard Krebs, the teenage beatnik best friend of Dobie Gillis, who was played by Dwayne Hickman. All right, so getting down to the cartoon eras of it, let's do this. Following the cancellation of Dobie Gillis, Denver landed the title role in the sitcom Gilligan's Island, which ran for 3 seasons, 64 to 67. Who was alive during then, by the way? Okay. Oh, Rose, infant, 90 boo boo. Okay, anyway, so
these young kids.
Yeah, that baby. His role as the well-meaning but bumbling first mate amongst a small group of shipwrecked castaways became the one for which he is most remembered for. Denver privately went out of his way to help his co-stars, who warmly appreciated his efforts, such as, and this is what I find interesting, such as successfully demanding that Russell Johnson and Don Wells be included in the series opening credits, and insisting that Wells get an equal share of the series publicity with Tina Louise. Bravo.
That's
Denver.
awesome.
Bravo, Bob. A decade after the series was canceled, Denver played Gilligan in the made-for-TV reunion movies Rescue from Gilligan's Island in 78, The Castaways on Gilligan's Island in 79, and the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island in 81. He also lent his voice to the animated series The New Adventures of Gilligan, which we will talk more about shortly, and its sequel, Gilligan's Planet, which we will more talk about shortly as well. So that's how we lead into this Saturday morning cartoons version of Bob Denver with our guest host here, ladies and gentlemen, Dreama Denver. I am so in love with that name. You know, if I ever thought about naming my child, that would be pretty cool. Go back to Far Out Space Nuts, and I want you guys to watch this.
Lunch. I said lunch, not lunch. Where is the world that they used to know? And how will they ever return? Now they got a home where strangers creatures roam. Something better help them along. So step right up and take a look at the stars. You're leaving the world behind. Oh, step right up, you won't believe your eyes. And what those far out space nuts find. And what those far out space nuts find.
Dreama, you had mentioned something about a number of guest stars that were on Far Out's Space Nuts. Do you remember any, and were you in fact on set during the filming where there were special guests on set?
You're gonna be surprised by this, but no, I was not on the set. I didn't know Bob then. This must have been what, around 72 or 73?
75.
75, yeah.
75. Well, I met him not long after that, but I have never actually seen an episode. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I haven't.
Yeah.
Well,
You can find him on YouTube, and there is a fair amount of physical comedy in that show.
Yeah. Well, there would have to be with Bob doing it. I'm pretty sure. Once he did Gilligan, he was pretty much typecast that way. But that, you know, he and Chuck McCann had a great time doing it. Like I said, the one he talked about most was John Carradine, this highly respected actor who agreed to do Far Out Space Nuts. Bob was blown away by that. And again, it just ran such a short time. And somehow in the 70s, of course, I was a little, well, I want to say grown up for cartoons, but look at you. You know,
careful.
I was past the cartoon stage at that point, you know.
Right. Yes, we are very grown up now, but unfortunately, shows like, you know, Bob's shows, you know, is just stuck in our brain. And we I can't see that, Jerome.
15 episodes.
15 episodes.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I'm trying to run
Let
this
me tell you,
forward.
it played all the time. I was a little kid, okay? And I loved that show. Whenever it was on, I tried to make sure I was watching it.
Oh yeah, same here.
Yeah.
And is that Billy Barty that's in the
No.
alien costume?
No, that is. Hang on a second here. That
Patty
is.
Mahoney.
Yeah, Patty Mahoney. Yeah, Mahoney.
Patty Mahoney in that one. Okay, pretty cool. Okay, so that's far out space nuts, guys. So okay, so so the next one I have up, let's talk a little bit about the animated series of Gilligan's Island and how that came to be, basically. And this was called The New Adventures of Gilligan's Island. This show ran for 2 seasons, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody loved Gilligan's Island, but it came out in 74 and 77. So, many years after the end of Gilligan's Island, but still around the same time as the Gilligan Island movies came about, Globetrotters and Harlem Globetrotters and things of that nature. In the New Adventures of Gilligan Island, the skipper's hair is red in the cartoons rather than gray. Let me pull this over to the screen here. There you go. Rather than gray, and it usually is in the live action version. Oh, rather than the gray, it usually. Do we remember the skipper's hair as being?
It was yellow.
Yeah, so that's
in the cartoons, it was like yellowish.
That's a bad fact. Yeah, this is that one's not correct at all. So that's okay.
Yeah, he has like light blonde, I thought.
I agree with you.
He is light blonde.
Okay. Also, Don Wells was unavailable to reprise the role of Marianne because of theater commitments, and Tina Louise no longer wanted to play Ginger and refused to let Filmation use her likeness. Both characters were voiced by Jane Webb, but to give the illusion that 2 actresses were used and for it to work in the cartoon's title tune, she was credited by her professional name, Webb, as Ginger. Oh, I get it. And by her maiden name, Jane Edwards, for the Mary Ann credit. Huh, interesting. Okay. Many of the episodes in this series consist of the retelling of some of the original Gilligan's Island's episodes, and include a few things regarding what could have been the 4th season of the original series, like Gilligan having a pet monkey. Okay. Dreama, is there anything you remember about this animated series?
Now, see, I just missed. I was around for the 2nd animated series. I just missed. This was 74, the first one?
74 to 77, it says, yes.
Okay, well, I met Bob in 77, so I wasn't around for the 74. I do remember stories about Jane doing both voices. I don't, the skipper's hair. We never saw his hair. He always had a hat on.
Oh no, he took the hat off a lot of times to whack Bob. Yeah,
well, he did that. Yes, but we were so busy watching Bob, get whacked that we didn't pay any attention.
That's true.
He
That's
never
very
had
true.
Red hair though. That I do know for sure. They had him with red hair in the cartoon.
Yeah, that's what they're claiming. And in
Hang
fact,
on a minute here.
I'll
look it up and see.
Yeah, hold on, I have some pictures. Stand by. All right, so let's look at that. Oop. Oh, sorry, I have to clear this screen first before I can put this up.
Now they gotta see yellow.
It's yellow.
It's yellow.
Then he's got blonde hair on the other side.
Yeah, it's still yellow. So I think that was actually a misquote by whoever wrote that so-called trivia fact.
They have Ginger Platinum.
Yes.
Wasn't she a redhead?
And Ginger was a redhead. Yeah.
Yes. Maybe that's what they were trying to refer to, and they just mistyped some names. So, guys, Gilligan's Island. Let's go ahead and watch. If I can cue this up here for me, please. Let's go ahead and watch the intro to The Adventures of Gilligan's Island.
Now listen to the story that we will tell to you.
Story of the Minnow. 5 passengers and crew.
With Gilligan aboard the ship, the skipper by his side.
An unexpected storm came up and tossed them with the tide.
They found themselves a shipwrecked clan, lost on Gilligan's Isle. Gilligan and Skipper, the millionaire, his wife.
the movie star professor and Mary Ann began a brand new life.
What creatures they encountered. What riddles did they face?
What mysteries did haunt them in a strange but happy place?
On the new adventures of Gilligan, all on Gilligan's Island.
Okay, rapping really didn't come to the forefront until the 80s. And this
90s.
series was between 74 and 77. So I have to give a little bit of a tip to the hat of these poor, white people trying to rap a theme song.
Wouldn't that be called scat?
Yeah, if we were back in the 30s or the 20s, okay, that's fine. Dreama, do you remember anything else about this
Have
series?
you even seen this show?
Yeah. Am I allowed to admit that?
You are allowed. We have no FCC rules here, so even if you wanted to curse the series,
Okay,
they can't
I'm not
track
gonna
you
say
down.
anything bad. I'm just
Okay.
gonna, I've never. Gosh, it's so terrible to say I've never seen a full episode
That's okay.
of the New Adventures of Gilligan's Island. However, I do have a little tiny story. Since we see that he ended up with a pet monkey.
Yes.
I think that's pretty good compared to when Gilligan's Island first went on the air as a series.
Right.
The suits at CBS at the time wanted Gilligan to have a pet of some kind, and they approached. The way I heard the story was they approached Sherwood Schwartz to ask him about having a pet dinosaur for Gilligan. And Sherwood, being, the I don't know, negotiator that he was, went to them and said, we would love for Gilligan to have a pet dinosaur, but the two-shot would be really difficult because Gilligan would be this big and the dinosaur, there's no way to get him in a two-shot. Now, this was back in the early 60s. So a monkey. It's so good that he ended up with a monkey.
That's a great story.
I think Ray Harryhausen was still alive during that time.
Yes, he was.
So it wouldn't have been an impossibility, but I'm sure the budget would have been sky high and somebody's salary would have had to been cut. So yeah,
the salaries much more. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
they didn't get paid much back then.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be cut to nil because Ray needs more stop motion animation money. Go ahead, Dreama.
No. I was just
okay.
about the animation part. You guys
was there
know
any-
way more about the actual nuts and bolts of that than I do.
Well, it like I had mentioned before, they were looking for a continuation, or they said this could have been a fourth season of Gilligan's Island because of a lot of the script that they stole from the live action series and things of that nature. I don't recall a storyline of this show at all, be honest, and I did watch it. So any of you guys remember a Gilligan Island animated episode?
I was very young. I remember watching it, but I don't remember a storyline from it. I could tell you storylines from the original Gilligan's Island all day long, but no, I don't.
Yeah, to me, this animation was very forgettable. I hate to say that.
Well, I was going to ask Dreama, how close do you think they got to capturing the true images of our real life heroes here?
I know who they are. When it's
the red shirt.
I think Bob would, if Bob were sitting here talking to you guys, he would not be offended by it was forgettable.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he would agree with you because Bob was very, when it came to the work, he was very honest about the work, and he would agree that it was probably a fairly forgettable animated.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this:
show.
the New Adventures was forgettable, but I remember everything about the Gilligan's Planet one.
Oh, we're going to get to that next. So
yeah, but my point is one was forgettable, the other one wasn't, and that's kind of where I'm at on that, you know.
And Dreama, you were a real best friend to Don Wells here. Does this chick not look a little demonic to you in this? Did Don Wells ever get this angry looking, even in real life?
She what?
That's horrible.
Again.
They
all look that way in that particular cell.
Well, that's kind of true. It looks like they're really mad at. Yeah,
something must be going on. And since the Howells aren't in this, I'm assuming the Howells have done something, maybe.
Well, I have a question about this. Is that the cast on Gilligan's is? I mean, you've got some, a couple of big names on there. Russell Johnson was in This Island Earth, which he got known for that. Backus was, Mr. Magoo, and then he was also in a Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah.
And Alan Hale, heck, his father was absolutely famous in the Golden Age.
Well, you know what I'm watching currently? MeTV, or actually I think it's on Cozy or Grit, but those stations that are playing Westerns, Alan Hale, they're showing Alan Hale's series, Casey Jones, which he was a railroad driver. What do you call those? Conductors? Engineer, conductors on that.
Yeah, Casey Jones was an engineer.
And this was pre-Gilligan days or whatever, because he was really young and a little thinner in that series. And it comes on every Saturdays. I've been watching Casey Jones, so that's pretty marvelous. I want to point out to anybody that's in our chat room right now, and if you have any questions whatsoever for Dreama Denver is joining us here this morning, early morning, Saturday morning. This ain't early for me, Dreama. I've been up for 4 hours, okay? But anyway.
See, it's not the 9 o'clock part that's early. It's the getting up at 7 o'clock to wake up and have a cup of coffee and get the dog out and get the makeup on. That's what makes it early.
I got it. You did 2 hours of prep time, and all I had to do was put on my t-shirt because I ain't wearing no pants. So, that's the only kind of dress up I need to do. Well, okay. I'm sorry. All right, let's talk about, what? I want to skip around. I want to go to Dreama's cartoons that she, in fact, had been watching when she was younger. You had sent me a short list. It's a great list, by the way, but if you can remember anything on that list that you watched when you were younger, what comes to mind to you right away?
Now I'm, of an age where a lot of your viewers aren't going to know what I'm talking about.
I will challenge you on that here.
Way back.
Okay.
I loved, obviously, I think the top of the list when I was an older kid would have to be the Flintstones. Loved Fred and Wilma and Bam Bam, and that was a fun show. The Jetsons, I remember watching that. Then now this was a Saturday morning show, not an animated show, but and it may have even been prime time, but I loved the Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, that was
prime time.
Oh, I loved it too.
And all those guys. It was like, that was probably my all-time favorite. Would have been the Mickey Mouse Club.
Uh-huh.
And then there was about a teeny itty bitty, just barely a glimmer in my father's eye. Would have been something called Romper Room, if anybody remembers.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, Romper Room. I remember that. Watch that. Yeah, the Magic Mirror. Yeah,
we all know Romper Room. It was like one of my teachers. Oh my God!
I got noticed on one of them.
Yeah, she was like a female Santa. Yeah, she was like a female Santa Claus in my mind, because she's looking through that mirror. She was talking about the kids. I see you, Bobby, and Susan, and Mark. What you doing?
The thing about Romper Room is they were regional. They were regional. There wasn't one. There were.
Who was she?
Oh, hang on.
I'll
find out. I'll find out.
Hey, but while he's doing that, Dreama, you had mentioned another show, and I want to go ahead and show you a clip of this, but you did have this on your list as well.
Okay. What was it?
Out of the clear blue of the western
Oh!
By Nabisco, National Biscuit Company. And as we say here in the West, reach, partner, reach for Nabisco. Reach for Nabisco. The bright red seal on the packaging means there's mighty good cookies inside, my friend. Yep, that red Nabisco seal is on all your favorite cookies. Creamy chocolatey Oreo cream sandwich, rich different Swiss cream sandwich, yummy Fig Newtons, crispy sweet Nabisco sugar wafers, and many, many others. So just remember, when it comes to cookies, reach for Nabisco, Nabisco. And now, Sky King.
Oh,
Wow.
Okay,
I
so
actually remember that. I remember that as well, Dreama.
I'm so glad you have that clip because that really was a favorite. I wanted to be Penny so badly. And somewhere along the line in my acting career, many, many years ago, I think I got to meet Kirby Grant, which was like,
Ooh.
whoa. And that was pretty, sort of in passing. I loved that show. I mean, it was, Uncle, what was his name? Uncle, do we remember anybody?
No, I don't. I'm so sorry. I don't remember that. But for you to get to meet your dream like that is kind of like me meeting Hopalong Cassidy, because I did watch a few Hopalong Cassidys.
I met Hopalong Cassidy when I was 6. I have a funny story about that. No, I have a very funny story. I grew up here in West Virginia, right? I was a little 6-year-old girl, and no, it was the Lone Ranger. I'm sorry.
Clayton Moore.
Yes. Okay. The Lone Ranger came to town, and this was back in the day when people actually came here fairly regularly. So my mother and my aunt take me to the auditorium where he's appearing and signing autographs and saying hello and all of that. And we get in line and we go through the line, and I get up to him. I'm 6 years old now. Remember that. And I get up to him, and he looks at me and says, what a cute little girl I am. And he leans over and gives me a kiss on the cheek. And I go walking off, and my aunt grabs me and drags me around and puts me in the back of the line again so that she can have the joy of watching the Lone Ranger give me a kiss. Then she couldn't have the kiss. So I think I went through twice, and I think the second time he kind of looked at me like, haven't I seen you somewhere before?
It's always good to be remembered.
You too, But that was really, it was the Lone Ranger with Tonto, right?
Yes, it was.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, it was the Lone Ranger I met, right?
Awesome.
So
well, you had already mentioned one other show, and I'm dreaming. What advice would you give your? Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and answer this question here that Brian popped up on. Thanks, Brian, for this. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh wow, that's a kind of I'd want to give it some thought. First of all, relax. I think. There's so many things. Not to get too heavy duty here, but when you're younger, at least I was a worrier, worrying about what would happen tomorrow and next week and 5 years from now. And about 20 years into our marriage, Bob looked at me one day and he said, honey, I want you to think about all the things that you have worried about. And I said, well, I can't remember them all. And he was like, no, I know. But think of the ones you can and tell me how many of those things have actually come to pass. And I was like, well, not many. I mean, there are things, obviously, that are worth worrying about and showing concern for. But I think we just do so much extraneous, projecting into the future, what may happen, what might happen. And Bob would always say to me, worry about it when there's actually something to worry about. Don't worry about the fact that there might be something to worry about. So I would say that, relax and gosh, there's so many. I just feel like I need to have time to think about a really good answer to that.
No, but that was perfect. That was actually perfect. Relax, and I need to do the same thing.
Me too.
You worry about things to come, Jerome, and they actually turn out to be a positive or something that didn't come into fruitation at all. And that's a great piece of information.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Mark.
I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't. We've lectured you already, and look what's come out of it. You know, more money anyway. So, Dreama,
I think that's important to know. I really do, because you worry about things that never happen, and you've wasted all this time in the present, wound up about something that may, or if it does happen in the future, then there's plenty of time to worry about it then. But I just think we waste a lot of time and a lot of energy, and we ruin our here and now, you know, whatever that is, by worrying about things. And worry is so, it took me a long time to learn this, really, it did. And I'm not perfect at it yet, but worry is so pointless. It doesn't, the worry doesn't change it. You know, worrying about it doesn't make it different. Even if it deserves your concern, it doesn't make it different. You have to take it as it comes. And I have to say, Bob was so good at that. Bob was a really low-key, laid-back, easygoing person, and he didn't waste that kind of energy. I did enough for both of us, probably. He would, if he were here, that's what he would say. But I've learned, you know, there's got to be some kind of blessing to getting older, and that's one of them, I think, is just learning what's worth it and what isn't.
Yeah. Hey, I was on your list, and I want to show you some. You had mentioned a cartoon that you remember thoroughly, and I'm about to show folks something. I think I've seen it before, but I've forgotten about it. But this show first started in prime time. Okay, it first started in the evening time. Wasn't meant for Saturday mornings. Eventually, it gravitated to that. But I want to see if you guys have ever seen this. So take a look at this. It is the original.
Wilma, when are we going shopping?
As soon as I serve His Majesty's lunch. He's dining at the pool today. Where's Barney?
Oh, he's trying on his gear.
Gear?
That's right. He's going to practice spear fishing in the pool.
Spear fishing?
Wilma!
Oh, I'll be right back. I've got to feed the fish. Where do you want it, Fred?
Just set it down where I can reach it.
And remember, if you sink, don't let my best dishes go down with the ship. Barney, it's you.
Did my spearfishing outfit scare you?
Out of my wits. And don't scare Fred, or he'll lose his lunch and my dishes.
Hiya, Fred.
And what are you made up for?
I'm gonna practice spearfishing.
Oh, you can't lose. You'll either spear.
Okay, what we just saw, that was the original TV pilot for the Flintstones, which in fact wasn't called the Flintstones in the beginning. It was called the Flagstones. And that was something that was the Flagstones, yes. And that was something that was on your list, Dreama, that I wanted to show you. So that's a little bit of your past.
Don't
Go ahead, dear.
The four main characters remind you of, in the Flintstones, remind you of, boom, zoom, trip to the moon.
The Honeymooners.
The Honeymooners, yes.
Honeymooners, yes, yes, it does.
Was it taken off that? Do we know?
Actually, it was.
Was it sort of
Yes,
based on
it was.
the Honeymooners?
Yes, it was taken off from the Honeymooners here. Brian, thanks you for coming on, and the fact that you had an experience with Bob back in San Diego years ago. That's great. You got people here that do remember your husband and are, I'm sure, ecstatic that they are meeting you. So let me ask you about the next Gilligan series, and if there's anything. In fact, let me. The next series we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is called Gilligan's Planet. Okay, Gilligan's Planet came out in 82 and 87. I guess once they did Adventures of Gilligan's Island back in 74 and 77, they weren't done. They want to keep on going, so they went on into the next decade.
Well,
Go ahead, Jerome.
Also, at the time that this Gilligan's Planet came out, Star Wars had just made a big splash. So everybody made stuff out in space and science fiction-y.
Yeah.
So
okay.
There was,
so the same passengers, okay, that got shipwrecked in the TV series got shipwrecked into space. I mean, it can happen. Come on.
Hey, it worked. It worked. It worked for Josie.
It did. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All of the original cast members of Gilligan's Island returned to provide characters, save except for Tina Louise, whose character Ginger Grant was instead voiced in addition to Wells's own character, Marianne Summers. I'm expanding this here so I can read it all. This was the last cartoon that Filmation produced for Saturday mornings. Afterwards, they produced cartoons exclusively for weekday afternoons that went straight to the syndicated market. Jerome, name one.
Name what?
One of the syndicated animated cartoons that Filmation produced that wasn't on Saturdays.
Well, Flash Gordon.
Okay, good. That is actually a good one. Rose, do you have one?
He-Man.
That's the most famous one right there. Yep, He-Man was that. The critics considered. I'm sorry.
I said you guys are good.
Well, yeah, we fake it anyway. So, Gilligan's Planet was considered by TV critics to be one of the worst TV shows ever. But then again, who listens to critics, right?
Oh, we've seen worse.
Who listens to critics? What do they know? We've seen their awards shows. We know they're stupid. The second animated Gilligan series, following the new adventures of Gilligan, it continues with the same story, but as I said before, it is set in space. Let me go ahead and gear this up right now, and you guys enjoy this.
We've got a brand new story about the castaways.
We left our tiny island.
They're rapping again.
Years and months and days.
We built a little spaceship. It's crude, but it could fly.
We left for home and lost our way between the stars and sky.
We went from an island to a star, lost on Gilligan's planet.
Gilligan and Skipper, the millionaire, his wife.
The professor, the movie star, and Mary Ann began a brand new life.
What creatures we encounter. What riddles do we face?
What mysteries now haunt us in a strange, enchanting place?
Our adventures are the best by far.
Here on Gilligan's Star Planet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm really angry right now because they had 6 years to learn how to sing. Okay, I mean, they wrapped yet another freaking animated series, and you had 6 years to get some melody down, you know, and they didn't. Dreama, why is that? What happened? Who caused that? Whose idea was this?
I don't know. The rapping part? I don't think they even knew they were rapping. I can tell you that right now. They didn't have a clue they were doing that. That's the first. Yep, first time I've seen the opening to Gilligan's Planet.
You're kidding.
You know, Gilligan from the get-go, it was even the original series, it was never, there was never any part of it that was a critic's favorite ever.
No.
It, you know, it was in the top 20, the original series, the 3 years it was on the air. So, you know, the folks, I think, had a different opinion than the critics did. But, you know, that now when it comes to Gilligan's Planet, I was around for that one. I was in the booth where they recorded the voices. And, you know, looking back on it, this is a lot of years ago, but looking back on it, I wish I had, you know, when you're in those moments, you feel like they're going to last forever. That you'll always be in those moments, that you'll be in and out of Hollywood and doing, you know, all the things that go along with that. And then your life changes and you aren't in those moments anymore. And I wish I had paid closer attention. I know it was fun to be in the booth and watch them all do the voices. And Dawn loved the fact that she was going to get to do Ginger and Marianne, because she just liked the fact that she was going to get to do Ginger. And, I remember going over to the drawing boards where the artist, whoever, I don't even know what his or her name was, I think it was a he, but was drawing Gilligan. And it was really interesting to watch them watch the actual people, Bob and Dawn and Russ and Jim and Natalie and everybody. It was really fun to watch them to pick up their mannerisms and the way their facial expressions and how they move their face. And we were able to sit and watch whoever was drawing the Gilligan character. We were able to watch him actually do that for, I don't know how they do it now. It's probably so different now, but then it was really sort of a thing where you would basically through the pages, and watch the character move. So, and I wish we had stayed around longer to be privy to more of, I don't know where we were going or why we couldn't stay all day. I wish we had, but it was really interesting and fun. It was my only real sort of hands-on experience with any kind of cartoon, insider stuff. It was great.
Yeah, we have one of our guests here online in our chat room here. A good friend of ours has got a very interesting question, and this question basically is who were some of Bob's favorites in the industry that he enjoyed their work but never got to literally work with?
Oh my gosh, I'm sure there would be so many. I can tell you, and I wish he had guested on this show so much. He loved MASH was one of his favorite shows.
Oh, great. Same
Bob
here.
was very picky about his television. So, he didn't like just everything. But, being somebody who had done it for so many years, he knew the ins and outs and how they got that camera angle or, made this particular choice. And he loved MASH, loved everything about it. It was one of the only shows, in his opinion, where they could actually lose a major character. Like,
yes, the first Colonel.
Stevenson.
Yes.
What was his first name? And
McLean.
McLean Stevenson. That's right. And replace him with somebody. I mean, when they replaced people on MASH, you ended up not missing whoever they replaced because they did such a great job of bringing in new characters. That was, and another show that he loved, and I think he would have. Well, he actually said he would have loved to work on. Was Barney Miller.
Ooh, I love Barney Miller. Yes, I watched Barney Miller religiously.
And yes, he loved that and would have loved to have worked on that. And he also liked, as I remember, he really liked Night Court. Do you remember Night Court?
So did I. Oh my God, that's my brother.
That's the same taste. I love it.
I love, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting you said that. Because when you were talking about Barney Miller and Bob, hopefully one day guesting on that, the first thing before you even said it came to my mind was Brent Spiner's appearance on Night Court, as the hillbilly couple or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, Bob would have made some sort of great guest star on Barney Miller, if he had gotten on at that time. So that's very interesting that he even oh, good grief. My friend here is asking another question here. It's a little off, but what be on Bob's Spotify playlist?
Okay, that's a good one.
I don't. Was he?
Answer this one.
Go ahead.
Answer this really good.
Good.
Bob and I started a radio station. I've had it for 17 years. The New York press dubbed it Little Buddy Radio, and so I know all about Bob's music. For obvious reasons, a lot of car trips, loved anything musical. And by that, I mean like Broadway kind of stuff. He enjoyed a lot of that stuff. But on our radio station, had it not been for me, if he was putting together the playlist for the radio station, it would have consisted of Nielsen. He loved Nielsen, Billy Joel, especially My Life. That was sort of Bob's theme song.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, that was his theme song. And for reasons I've never quite understood and that he never could quite really explain to me, who did the song? The Lovin' Spoonful, Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that song?
Interesting. Wow.
I don't know what that was about. But but yeah, he was a Nielsen guy. Loved Nielsen. Loved Billy Joel. I'm trying to think. James Taylor would have been another.
James Taylor, yes.
Yeah, he wasn't so much into, I grew up, for me, I'm sorry, it was all about Motown. That's
that a girl.
Give me the Temptations and the Four Tops, and I'm friends with some of those guys now, the Platters and
cool.
Do you know Theo Peoples from the Four Tops?
Yes.
And Theo Peoples is the only Motown artist who's ever been part of both the Temptations and the Four Tops.
And I know exactly what you're talking about now. It's really interesting you calling out Bob's playlist. James Taylor. Other than probably My Life and Billy Joel, would you consider Bob an introvert or an extrovert?
Introvert.
Yeah. Listening to that playlist, that's mellow music, and you said in the beginning he was really low key and really a mellow guy. So
yeah, and he was, when he was out in public, doing a personal appearance or something, obviously, he could kick it into gear and be extroverted. And one thing I loved a lot of things about him, but one thing that I always really appreciated was he understood that when he was doing a personal appearance, whether somebody walked across the street to see him or flew across the country to see him, for them, it was a big deal. He understood that. It was meeting Gilligan. It was their childhood, a show they'd grown up with. And he always, and this was so admirable when you see some of them who just sign the paper and hand it to you, but Bob always took a moment. He always wanted to give whatever fan, however young or old, he wanted to give that fan a chance to ask him a question or have a moment with him so they could leave with something to talk about. And I always thought that was, that was really impressive. So he could do the extroverted thing.
Yes.
But at home, he was quiet. He was low key. He read, when I say this, I'm not kidding, probably 4 or 5 books a week, read constantly all the time. And of course, we had a severely autistic son that we took care of. So
yes.
And we did that. Bob did that for the last 20 years of his life. So, he was he was really a homebody. He's the one that would be up on the front porch going, "You kids, get off my lawn." Not really. He wouldn't be that bad. But it was like, he was really a homebody and really loved his privacy.
Well, it's interesting, but I share so many similarities to Bob. Everything you're talking about kind of mirrors me in a way. I can be an extrovert when I'm doing things like this, when I'm on stage and at conventions and so on. But I am a homebody, and I do kind of, resolve back into my own inner peace when I'm by myself. And you're right. I want to show you something. Jerome, you had something. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, since we're doing animation here, Bob did The Simpsons, an appearance on The Simpsons. So have you had any insight on that you care to share with us on that?
I didn't get to be with him. We had our son by then, and I had to stay home and care for our son. So I was not with him when he actually did it. He enjoyed it. He played himself, right?
Yes, yeah.
He played himself. And I'm trying to remember if there were any interesting stories. I do have an interesting thing I ran across the other day. We're putting together a Bob Denver museum here in West Virginia. And so I was going through things the other day to see what I might have for the museum. And I ran across, they gave him the most beautiful Simpsons jacket. We're talking the big baseball jacket, great big, heavy duty leather that I hope to display in the museum. He really did enjoy doing it. I think he liked playing himself. I'm trying to remember if he had any outlandish stories.
I mean, he also. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say he did one episode of that, and it's sort of like when he did one episode of the Andy Griffith Show. And, and he is as well, not as Gilligan.
I remember that episode.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
He played Dudwash.
The love interest of the family of Bob. Oh my God, Denver Pyle's family. There's
Right.
Denver Pyle reference.
Gomer Pyle.
Yeah. No. Denver Pyle was the father of the group.
Okay.
They were called. What were they called? Not the Lovelies. Not the
Darlings.
The Darlings. Yes, they were called the Darlings.
They were.
But he also.
Funny, I did a personal appearance with Maggie Peterson, who did Charlene Darling not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I think. And Bob would have it just blows me away that people he met, worked with, enjoyed over the course of his career. You know, he left me a real legacy of love. People who loved him and loved Gilligan's Island, and folks he worked with who really appreciated him. And I get to sort of, I'm the benefactor of all of that, you know, and I get to do, you were just talking about you do Comic-Cons and things, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I love doing those. So if ever you see a spot for me, let me know and we'll hang out together.
Funny you said that, lady.
What?
Yeah. I'll see what I can do.
No, Dawn and I used to do those together all the time, and we just loved it. It was Marianne and Mrs. Gilligan, you know. That was always fun. But when I met Maggie Peterson, who played Charlene, it was just so cool to meet and do an appearance with her where I get to know her. I didn't get to know her through Bob, physically through Bob, but I did get to know her through Bob. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful to be a benefactor of all of that.
I'm trying to pull something up here, and it's not cooperating right now. But while we go ahead and talk about, here's a question that Garrett has. When did Bob realize that he had reached icon status? Are you aware? Was he aware of his icon status? As an introvert as he is, I can kind of figure out what the answer would be, but I like to hear something different and prove me wrong.
No, you're probably right. He understood that people viewed him that way. See, you had to know Bob. He had the healthiest ego for an actor. He didn't need to be stroked and recognized, and he loved it when he could go out and go to Lowe's and nobody noticed. I mean, he loved that. And he would laugh. I mean, he would just laugh at being considered an icon, and did laugh. Not that he didn't appreciate it, but he just never saw himself that way. He was the most humble. Oh, that was at the White House right there, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
But he was just a really humble guy. He was just Bob. And so when people talk to him about being, you know, a pop culture icon, or he would just, you know, the fact that Gilligan, when he passed away, Gilligan's Island had been on the air for, I think, 41 years at that point. And he was blown away by that. So he would be completely blown away that, you know, 57 years later now, people still know the show. But he would have gone, I'm not an icon. Oh, look at those two youngins. We were just babies.
Boy, you guys were so into each other. That is what I like to see. That's really so awesome.
Each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay, got more cartoons to show you here. This one thing was on your list that I grabbed, and I want to see if I pulled up probably the right clip in remembrance of this. So here you go.
Okay.
Any second now.
Guess who?
Oh.
Guess who? Worry about me. I got plenty of food. And right now, I'm going swimming. You're wonderful.
Okay, that's just irritating. Okay, so I think if I played any more of that, I would have strangled myself. Oh. What do you remember about Woody Woodpecker, Dreama?
Like that nowadays. I mean, do they? You know, I don't watch Saturday. I'm usually not up on Saturday morning like this. So I don't watch.
This Saturday is the only Saturday that matters
anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Are they anything like the old cartoons?
They are the old cartoons.
Me TV. I don't know if you had Me TV in West Virginia, but
Yes,
every 7 o'clock every morning they play Saturday morning cartoons at 7 o'clock, and they do a 2-hour block, 3-hour block, I think, of classic stuff. I was watching it before. I was watching Saturday morning cartoons on Me TV, Saturday morning cartoons before we came on today. And it was just amazing. I mean, they went way back. I'm talking, cartoons in the 30s and early 40s that they were showing. And I'm like, wow, this is brilliant. Well, here's something else that I think you may remember. Stand by for this.
Hey.
The 21st century. Transportation, space travel, robotics, teleconferencing,
right there,
and supersonic sports. This vision of our future was conceived at the Hanna-Barbera Studios. Sometimes the best ideas just drop right out of the sky.
Nice landing, Joe. It's okay, Bill.
Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera, the wizards of animation responsible for some of the best cartoons ever made, were driven by one simple philosophy: entertainment.
See, Bill and I believe in entertainment. We've never tried to preach in our pictures. We just try to project warmth and good feeling. Now, the other basic thing is the kind of characters you start out with. All of our successful ones have been distinctive in their own way. Huck, Yogi, Quick Draw McGraw, Top Cat, Fred Flintstone. Each of them has his own strengths and little human failings that make for fun in the stories.
Hanna-Barbera Studios was flushed with the success of the Flintstones, America's first prime-time animated series.
When we were doing the Flintstones, we tried to reproduce everything in Stone Age that we were using
Contemporary.
now.
Primetime television wanted one more family-friendly hit from these animation masters. The prehistoric era was a huge hit, so why not do a little time travel forward?
We actually did the same thing in the future.
Enter the Jetsons.
Yoo-hoo! I'm home!
But we knew that there would be people movers, so everything in the apartment and wherever they went, they would just step on it and they would move them through the room. We also had parking, which we know is a problem. So we went up way ahead, and when he arrived at the garage or at the office, he pressed a button and his car would fold into a little briefcase.
Just as Hanna-Barbera took the sitcom formula and animated it for the Stone Age.
What you watching? It's the billionth rerun of the Flintstones.
The Jetsons were the traditional sitcom family in the 21st century.
Hiya, gang!
George! Daddy! Father!
Okay, just wanted to show a little bit of another series that was on your list was the Jetsons. So you say you didn't watch, Saturday morning cartoons, but you obviously remember this from probably prime time when it was running.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? We are now in the 21st century, and a lot of what they were showing on there came to pass.
Yeah, the Apple Watch.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for my flying car.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed.
But when he talked about folding up the car into a briefcase, I'm thinking about, I know it's not the same thing exactly, but I'm thinking about our iPhones where everything, our lives are on our iPhones now, and this little thing you hold in your hand. So
yeah.
With it folding up in a suitcase, that was before Transformers. So, it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, I'm still a little upset. I'm still a little upset that I can't fold my car up into a briefcase. So, they haven't fulfilled their obligation to me entirely yet. But I'm hoping and praying, that'll come up.
I'm sure Tesla's working on it.
Would be nice.
Yeah, you're right.
I love the Jetsons. It was really of course, it was so far in the future then, when we were young, and it just seemed. They mentioned a couple in that promo. Oh, and the building. When I saw the building, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's where we went for the doing the voices for Gilligan's Planet." That was the Hannah.
Oh, Hanna-Barbera Studios. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we went to. I'd forgotten what it looked like, but there it was. And I don't know. It was they mentioned a couple. Top Cat, I think was one they said that I went. Oh yeah, I remember that one too.
Top Cat.
So
Yes.
there, I think I watched more than I even thought I did as a kid. I'm sure.
Yes. Okay. So, guys, we got one last cartoon to show Dreama, trying to stay within our hour here. Of course, we've gone over, but that's normal for us. Oh, I agree, Brian. They lied to us, dude. You're absolutely right, man. That's the first indication of fake news in America is when they showed us what we were going to get from the Jetsons and Back to the Future. So. Yeah, you're right, Brian. They lied to us. Don't be bitter, man. You'll be okay. Thanks everyone that's been joining us. If you have any final questions that you want to go ahead and ask Dreama, go ahead and pop those up here on the screen, or in the chat room, and I'll pop them up on the screen for Dreama to use. But I am going to touch on the last cartoon that was on Dreama's list, and this is tops on my list. It's within the top 3 to maybe top 4 of all-time cartoons for me. It was very violent. It was unfair. I think PETA would have gotten involved if these showed today, because I think the abuse that was shown to this scrawny little character was just totally unfair. And I'm sure you'll agree with me in a moment.
Meep, meep. Meep, meep. Meep, meep. Meep, meep. Meep, meep. Meep, meep.
Okay, I changed my mind. I'm in defense of the coyote because I think that was a harassment that was going on to that poor dog. That's just totally unfair for that little scrawny, supposedly defenseless bird. Okay, to enact that level of torture on somebody that was just hungry.
And don't forget, Coyote was a great artist too.
Oh yeah, painting tunnels.
Yeah, he was the greatest tunnel painter there ever was.
I tried that once. I painted on the side of my garage, a half-round dark hole with a white opening in the distance, and tried to see if it actually worked.
You're not that good.
I drank heavily that day. That was actually before I tried. But Coyote is a super genius, but he's an idiot because none of his stuff works.
Oh, no. The problem is his mail order doesn't work well.
Mail order doesn't work well. And I wrote a letter to Acme. Jeff Bezos responded. And
Acme, the Amazon before Amazon.
Exactly. Yes. Dreama, tell us a little bit about the Coyote and this Roadrunner that should be killed.
I just want to know what happened to all the anvils.
Oh, no. You never heard of the giant space magnet that comes across the Midwest of America occasionally to pick up all that metal? It's recycled.
Those were used by the blacks Christmas in town. They could take all the heat. They weren't going to melt. And I haven't seen an anvil in a really long time. So I just wonder what happened to all those, because they were always falling on his head.
I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one since one fell on my head, years ago.
So you got to remember, though, this was taking place in the desert. So I'm suspecting that this was taking place somewhere near Area 51, and the government took all those anvils and was using it.
I like that. That's a great theory. You're right. That solves all the UFO. That's why the UFOs are visiting us now. They're picking up all our junk. Oh, I could use that. So that was the Roadrunner. That's actually the last thing that I got from Dreama on her list of cartoons that she remembers. Put it that way. I'm sure she actually remembered more than what was on the list. Surprisingly so. See what Saturday mornings do to you. Saturday morning cartoons. When you're amongst the brain trust here,
it's hanging out with you guys. That's what did it. It brought it all back.
You were incredible to hang out with. I'm sure. Here's a question. I agree. What advice would you give someone who wants to get into acting?
Oh, wow. Now, it's so different nowadays than it was when I was a young actress. I was for the people who don't know, because we mentioned it earlier, I was in the third Gilligan's movie, The Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. I played Mrs. Howell's social secretary and got to play basketball with the original Globetrotters. Can you imagine that? Oh my gosh, Ease and Curly and Meadowlark and Twiggy.
Oh, the Meadowlark years, yeah.
Just so awesome. I don't know how I, was blessed enough to be able to do that. But see, I took my train of thought. I don't even know what I was going to say. What was the question again?
Advice for acting.
Back in those days, you had to be in New York or LA if you wanted a stage career. You had to be in New York, and if you wanted a movie career, TV career, you had to be in LA. Now it's so different. And I think, to me, now I'm not acting anymore, but to me it appears that there's so much more opportunity. I mean, I hear about, Wilmington, North Carolina being a place where you can, Atlanta being a place you can, and there's so many avenues. I mean, there's, I know it's probably not easy to get a project on any of them still, but there's, Netflix and Prime and it just, Hulu. I mean, there's so many places now filming. It used to be so different. There were the major studios and the 3 networks when I was young, and Broadway, and maybe road companies around the country for live theater. So it's very different. I would think my advice would be, though, I do have some advice. Depending on where you are in the spectrum, I would just start out by doing it. Bob always told people, if you want to act, act. And if that means doing it community theater locally, if it means back in the day when dinner theater was huge, if that's what it means, because you're going to learn more by putting it on its trial and error, doing it right, doing it wrong, taking direction, working with other actors. You're going to learn so much more doing it that way than you're going to learn, trying to read it from a book. But now, like on Facebook, they have masterclass. They have actual, really, Natalie Portman is one that I remember. High profile actors and actresses who, give you online courses. So there are all kinds of ways to do it. But Bob's advice was always put it on its feet and get out there and do it wherever you have to do it to get the experience. And you just keep moving. That's how I started. I started doing it really small in the area in Florida where I lived, and then got cast. My first professional show was with Sal Mineo. For anybody who remembers Sal Mineo and Rebel Without a Cause and Exodus, and he was Academy Award nominated, and that was my first professional experience, and I just went from there. So it's just a matter of getting out there and doing it, You guys
And yes,
probably know even more than I do about the avenues that are open to actors and actresses now. I mean, wow.
Yeah, yeah. And I do remember Sal Mineo, and a lot of people don't or may not know that Sal Mineo played an ape in the Planet of the Apes series. I think he was in the second movie or Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Charlton Heston?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but
he was absolutely wonderful. And he was Academy Award nominated for Exodus. And of course, did Rebel Without a Cause with James Dean and Natalie Wood, and Jim Backus was in that.
Yeah,
it's really when you start getting into it, it's kind of a small world. You know, the way people interweave and connect over the years is really very interesting.
Right. Let me ask you: is this two separate theater performances you had with Bob? Are these two different ones, or is it the same show?
Oh yeah, no. We worked on stage until our son was born. We worked on stage together for a long time. That was a show called The Owl and the Pussycat.
Yes.
Which you may remember the movie with Barbra Streisand. George Segal.
Right.
That was our favorite show. There were only 2 people in that show. And we had a big trunk with some of the major props. So a theater could call us and go, gosh, we need you, on Tuesday. And we could show up and put the show on its feet and do it. So we loved doing that one because it was just the 2 of us, and we always liked that a lot. And then the other one that you showed, that was fairly early on after we met. That was a show called, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was a show called Catch Me If You Can, where I played what appeared to be the bad guy, and Bob played the good guy. And there's a big twist at the end of the show where it ends up that obviously I'm the good guy and Bob was the murderer. But it was a really fun thriller that we got to do together, which I love because, people always thought of him after Gilligan. They always thought of him that way. And working on stage was so much fun because he had a lot more leeway on stage to play something besides just the character of Gilligan, so.
Right. Between the 2 well-known series that Bob was in, which was Dobie Gillis and Gilligan, what do you think he felt he was more typecast as?
Oh, Gilligan for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Maynard. I don't think he would have minded being typecast as Maynard because Maynard was, very cool and
spiritual. Yeah.
Like loud and all that. But it was Gilligan, the nebbish, the bumbler, the one who was always trying to do right, messing up, and that was just, that just stuck once that show became what it became really in reruns more than in the actual series itself. When it was on the air for the 3 years it was on the air, it was reruns because it ran. I know when we were working on stage, we would work for some reason North Carolina sticks out in my head, but we were doing something in North Carolina, and on television after school, Gilligan's Island was on like 4 different stations against itself. It ran all the time. And so it's really hard for audiences not to see you as that when that's what comes into their living rooms, every day nonstop. They think of you as that. So.
Right. And I want to segue into something on this, and it's perfectly okay if you don't know or have an opinion that you want to share or anything like that. But the fact that Tina Louise took a little offense to being, I don't want to use the word typecast, but it looked like she was working under her abilities by being in Gilligan's Island and then refusing to be on any of the animated series. It seems that Bob had accepted, had received his staple as being Gilligan in person outside of acting, whereas Tina felt that I don't want people to continually see me in this role.
I've never even seen this movie, but it was a big deal, called God's Little Acre.
Yes, I saw that movie. I saw
Did
it.
you?
Oh
Okay.
man, she was sexy. Was that with Rob Ryan in it, or whatever his name is?
You know, I don't think I really should try to find that on one of these.
She
Prime
was young. She was a sex pot in that. Kind of.
Yeah.
Everybody was after her.
Well, she was also doing, if I'm remembering correctly, when she got the offer to do Gilligan's Island, she was doing, I want to say, Once Upon a Mattress on Broadway.
Oh, did she do that too?
Huh?
She did that as well?
I think so.
Okay, interesting.
You can double check me, but that's the way I remember hearing it. That she was actually, and I want to say it was Once Upon a Mattress. Maybe I'm wrong, but I.
Oh, okay, it's okay.
I'm not real up on her career, but I do know that she had a name for herself, and thought that Gilligan's Island was going to, and it may have been presented to her by her agent. I don't know that, Gilligan's Island was going to revolve around her, and I know there was a story about Sherwood. I guess she approached him, or her agent approached him, and Sherwood said to Tina, the story he told was, Tina, it's Gilligan's Island, not Ginger's Island, because she really had been led to believe that she would be dominant in which she was. I mean, they all were. It was such an ensemble piece, but
it was.
She just, the experiences I've had with her, she's always been lovely. My battery thing just came on. She's always been lovely. She, after Bob passed away, she wrote me. I don't know her well. I've only been around her about 3 times, but she's a lovely, lovely person, as far as I'm concerned. And she just didn't want Gilligan's Island to follow her around, but that just shows how kind of fruitless that was, because she is known for Gilligan's Island, whether she likes it or not. They all are. So Bob realized early on, better to embrace it and just roll with it, because the show meant a lot to a lot of people in a way that he never anticipated it would. So better to embrace that and just roll with it, and be thankful that you had a hit TV series once upon a time,
Right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have Dreama Denver here on our Saturday morning cartoons show. She's been absolutely wonderful doing this broadcast. Any of my co-hosts, Rose or Jerome, you have any final questions for Dreama before we release her back to her bed?
I do. I just, Dreama, would you please let us know where we can get your books?
Oh, thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. Gilligan's Dreams. And now Gilligan's Dreams is the story, the private story of my 30-year marriage to Bob. And it does talk about some behind the scenes things, certainly. But Bob and I had a journey through autism with our son. It's about the end of Bob's life and his courage. It really is. Everybody tells me inspirational, which is what I meant it to be. When Bob died, I looked for anything that I could read that would tell me how to survive losing him. So that's what I hope my book will do for people in a similar situation. That's available at bobdenver.com. Easy to remember. Gilligan's Gift Gallery there. It's on the homepage. You'll be able to get right to it. It is this book is from my heart, and it really was meant to be a love letter to Bob's fans, to the people who loved the show and loved him. It really is my gift to them, to let them know who he was, not as Gilligan, not as Maynard, not as any of the characters he played, but who he was as a father and a husband and a human being. And he was not a perfect human being, but he was a wonderful human being. So that can be gotten at bobdenver.com. And then my children's book, 4 Bears in a Box, is a multi-award winning children's book. It was inspired by Bob, an idea that Bob gave me that I finally followed through on. It won, the last award it won in 2020 was runner-up for Best Children's Book in the Paris Book Festival, talking Paris, France. So my bears went international. I haven't, but they did.
Awesome.
I'm so proud of this little book. It's really a wonderful read aloud book for grandparents and parents and their kids. So that's also available at bobdenver.com. If you order them from the website, I can autograph them and get them right out to you. If you if you're a Prime person, you love Amazon, you want to do it that way, obviously it's available. Both of them are available on Amazon, but they are, not just because they're mine, but they're wonderful books. They truly are. And then there's a book, let me just show this one really quick, that I have on the website.
Take all the time. Oh, whoa, wait.
Bob wrote back in 1993, and this is the career story. He talks about Maynard and Gilligan and everything that he did career-wise. So if you get this one and mine, you're getting the career story and the personal story. So anyway, that's also available at bobdenver.com. I have, unless you get it secondhand, I've got every copy of Gilligan, Maynard, and me that is in existence. Oh, fun to know.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I just pulled this up real quick.
Yeah. There we go.
So let me ask you, where can they get this book again?
At bobdenver.com.
Got it. I was hoping you'd say that.
I don't know if Amazon has it or not, but
I'm suspecting that you get better royalties if it's bought strictly through your website than through Amazon. Is that correct?
That is true. That is true.
Okay, we had
convenience sake, and there are people who love Prime. They don't want to do anything if they can't do the 2-day delivery and all that kind of stuff. I totally get that. So they can get it on Amazon, but yes, it is better for the author when they're bought directly.
Yeah, and we have no allegiance to Amazon, and we prefer to promote our guests and our friends more so than a corporate entity. So
I hear you on that one. I have a very hard time with, I live in a small town where shopping is really sort of limited, and I rely on Amazon a lot, and I'm almost embarrassed to say it because it is a big corporation, and I'd rather support local, which I try to do as much as I can. But sometimes Amazon's a have to,
Dreama, I just think they have a larger audience, and we're trying to help you out in gaining a larger audience on your own without the help of a corporate entity. So get it through bobdenver.com, folks.
I didn't see it on Amazon. I just looked.
Okay. Anything Dreama related, Bob related, guys, just go to bobdenver.com. You want to do a search, go to the excuse the pun, go to the horse's mouth and get everything you can from a personal source. There's one of the darlings. This is his role in Andy Griffith. You see this, Dreama?
Oh, I do see that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to enlarge it, but no, this is on MeTV. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, that screen's not coming up. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Whoops.
And you can get a link to Little Buddy Radio through your website too, right?
Yes, you can. But Little Buddy Radio, the best way to get to that, and it's a great radio station, if I do say so myself. Musically, it can't be beat. I'm just telling you, Mark, you would love it.
Wait a minute now. I'm confused.
There's an app.
Go ahead, Dreama. Go ahead.
You're what?
Keep talking here.
There's an app for your iPhone or for your device, for any of your phones, called the TuneIn, one word, radio app. It's free. There's a free version. If you download that, go into the app. Once it's downloaded, type in Little Buddy Radio. It will bring us up. That way you can Bluetooth the station in your car. You can listen to it through your earbuds when you're cleaning, whatever you want to do.
There is a Facebook page for Little Buddy Radio also.
Little Buddy Radio is really yes.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for it in my phone right now.
I found it on Facebook, Mark.
Okay.
But the app is really a great way to get it, because then you can Bluetooth it in your car and all of that, you know. So that's kind of fun.
Hey, Dreama, do you want to tell us a little bit about your Always Free Honor Flight and the Denver Foundation?
Okay, well, Bob and I started the Denver Foundation many years ago in honor of our autistic son. The Denver Foundation, as much as we're able to, depending on donations, we try to help families dealing with some kind of special needs. That's very important to us. And then under the umbrella of the Denver Foundation, after Bob passed away, he never knew about this, but I know he would be proud of it. I founded the first honor flight program in the state of West Virginia. We call it Always Free Honor Flight, for the West Virginia motto, Mountaineers Always Free. We take our veterans to Washington, D.C., starting with World War II, Korea, and then working our way to Vietnam. We take them to Washington, D.C., at least before COVID. We took them to Washington, D.C. once a year to see the memorials built to honor their service to this country. And Honor Flight just gave me a profound I always appreciated our veterans. I think we all do. But Honor Flight made it very profound for me, because hanging out with these heroes and spending time and hearing their stories and the things they did, that they were willing to do for all of us, people they don't even know. They were willing, and some did give their lives to preserve our freedom. It's really humbling, and it's something that a tiny percentage of people in this country do. So Honor Flight changed my life in a lot of ways. I'm so proud of it, and I think Bob would be, if he knew about it, and I hope he does. I think he'd be very proud that we're honoring our military men and women, past and present, you know.
Wow, you are incredible. We've taken up enough of your time, in my opinion. 90 minutes worth, to be honest, and I think that's fantastic for someone to get up so early in the morning. 2 hours before the show started, you're getting ready. Wow.
She's better than we
takes
are.
a village, I'm telling you.
Oh, wow, man.
At a certain age, it takes a village. You can't just pop out of bed anymore. You got to work on it a little bit.
I'm sure without the prep time, you're still absolutely gorgeous under whatever you got on. I'm a guy. I don't know. Is that mascara, or are you crying black tears on this? I don't know, but
Actually, I do not have any mascara on. To tell you the truth, I don't. I didn't. I skipped that this morning. Yeah.
See, natural beauty. Bite me, Tina Louise. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? We're at the end of our program. We have had the most incredible Dreama. Dreama, stay on the line after we sign off here too, so we can talk to you a bit. But this has been a memorable program, I think we have here, with a memorable young lady. And I'm really happy that she was able to agree to getting up this early in the morning just to talk about cartoons, you know. And we're really, really happy. I'm keeping that banner running at the bottom of the screen, but I'm really, really happy to always promote anything that you have, do anything that you need from us. Please don't. Oh, good grief. So that's awesome, dear. We're happy to promote anything that you would have from us or need us for. So please do not hesitate to reach out if you need assistance in any way with any connections we may have, or just, you know, adverts over our network of HWWS programs here. We're glad to do that for you at any time. But this has just been absolutely incredible. For everyone else out there, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we have Saturday morning cartoons every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. when we feel like it. And any other time, we have Mark Knows Everybody and Classic Television SmackDown. We have a bevy of programs just on the NBL Entertainment Group that we have here. But other than that, You guys have been incredible. My God, Dreama, I don't know what to say, but I will give you this. Sorry, I hit that button twice. Everyone else, have a great Saturday and the rest of your weekend. Dreama, you're a dream. You're literally your name alone says it all. So Saturday morning cartoons is signing off, and we will